Okay, so we're picking it up from the horse that I've won the most money on that I can discern. I think some of my biggest hits were probably multi-race wagers, like where you had like a trifecta going, and I don't really remember. I wasn't rooting for a specific horse, but a group of horses. Um, I would say the largest, the horse that I won the largest amount of money on is probably the difference between two, and one I would say is Power Up Painter, which I own through a very fractional ownership, less than one half of 1%. But the time that he was gelded, they had been talking with the trainer and they had publicized it, and that's a big angle for people, first time gelding. So when he did, I put $50 to win on him, and he won. So and he was going. I forget exactly what he paid, but it was like $800 to $1,000, which was really nice. And I know what's good about that is I tell all the friends and everything, and everyone got on board, and it was a lot of fun. The other one I would say is it's a cumulative thing. And when I say that, it's like maybe no, 100 here, 100 there kind of thing. But it's a trotter called Beaumark, B-O and then M-A-R-K. No, M-A-R-C. Uh, uh, and anyhow, a friend, Bo, turned me on to him. It's strictly a name play, and I never play trotters, but I kind of watch this one and favor him. And I see, some of the apps show when you had a previous winner going to race today. So then you go out and put a couple of dollars on him. Anyhow, he's done pretty well for me too. I had him in an exactor and stuff that paid pretty well at one point.
Are you counting the one that you did after work that time and you split with a friend?
No, I didn't count that one at all because that one was kind of like a multi-horse wager. So I can't. I mean, I have the paperwork on it, but I don't know the names of any of the horses. Now, my horse racing sort of handicapping and understanding of the game has changed dramatically since then. So I probably didn't pay too much attention to the names of the horses back then, whereas I pay a lot of attention to them now. Okay. And some of that's your influence, by the way. That's your handicapping angle. So that's how you do.
Okay, so I am gonna ask you a quick fun question, and that is, say the first name of someone who gets equally or more excited at a horse race as you. Just the first name.
I'm not sure what do you mean. Like just that, like when you're at physically.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
sometimes that's a function of who you're there with, right?
Right.
I think a lot of my friends, get as excited when they have a horse that's winning at the time. So you see my friend, Bo that I mentioned, he gets excited about it. He gets actually very excited one way or another. And then Torin as well. One thing I saw last week was a good friend, a friend of mine's brother, whom I'm friends with now too. Won the pick four and going into the last, the pick five, and going into the last race. He only had a couple of angles on it. Anyhow, he ended up winning a good amount of money, and he was so excited and so jubilant. I would say that goes down as he was high-fiving everyone and how you like that, and he was all into it. So it was very cool.
Awesome. Okay, and then I have a question that I'm going to ask you at the end, but just quickly, you have a new series coming up that we're going to be starting. Can you just kind of share what that's going to entail?
So, I do want to go through sort of handicapping and sort of angles and that kind of thing. I'm kind of thinking about like how do you break it down, because like there's so many components to it. You try to cover all of handicapping in one sort of episode, if you will, and you're just going to confuse people. So anyhow, I want to do one on handicapping, and that I feel like is going to be broken down amongst a lot of different things. It's horse analysis, track analysis. It's what some of the figures and the statistics mean. So I think, and then so handicapping is one. I think you can be the best handicapper in the world. This is obviously true, and just mess up as it relates to how you wager. Wagering, money management at the track is a huge thing, and sometimes it's an emotional day at the track. You can get all wrapped up in all that you're doing, and it's easy not to be cognizant of the money that's sort of turning. And I think just getting a hold of those emotions and angle and statistically, or looking at the races from a perspective. I moved from, a big win bet player where you could win a lot, but you could lose, cumulatively anyhow a lot, to like more of a daily double, or pick three, and sometimes pick five kind of play. And the reason I say that is if you look at, and we'll dive into this in these episodes, but you look at a daily double, and let's say you put 2 or 3 horses in a daily double, like a couple of bucks, with a horse that you think is a long shot in the second race, and one of those wins, now you're going into that second race, one of those in the first race wins, you're going into that second race with almost a built-in hedge. Now you can layer over your wins, or your trifectas or exactas. And in my mind, anyhow, it's kind of in terms of sort of finance and investments. In my mind, it diversifies away some of the systematic risks associated with betting. So I haven't done the analysis on that for all those who kind of follow what I'm saying, but intuitively, my feel is that I'm stripping away some of that risk by betting in daily doubles.
Awesome. Okay, so I know this actually could be a longer answer, but who really inspired your passion from the beginning with regard to horse racing?
Yeah, it's a good question, because it definitely is a passion. It started early. So we had a grandparent type figures in our lives that were very special. Husband and wife that they didn't have any children of their own, so they didn't have any grandchildren, but they sort of adopted me and my brothers. And early on, it was me and Paul, my brother. Because we're older than my 2 youngest, but so Joe used to take us, a grandfatherly type figure, would take us to the track, and he would take us to Suffolk Downs, and he would take us to Rockingham, and he would call up, and I wish I remember these conversations now, but in the 70s, I know he was telling me about Angel Cordero and Secretariat, and I think I have a vague memory of a conversation that we had about Secretariat. So in and around that time, I'm 10, 13, in that range. So anyhow, Joe, I also remember classically, probably around 8 years old, him teaching me how to calculate odds. And so Paul and I my brother Paul and I were always together at the track with Joe. It wasn't like he just took me, but for some reason, the statistics aspect of it, learning all that. I had a favorite jockey, at 8 years old. His name was Timothy Hare, out of Suffolk Downs. And but I remember Joe teaching me how to calculate the odds, and then he would give us a few bucks, and he gave us some rules to live by too. Like, if you win, you act like you've won before, right? You don't want to be flashy. Now he did most of his gambling at Suffolk Downs. And sometimes there might be unscrupulous people there. And he said, like, you don't want to show off, right? Because there's people watching all the time. And the other rule that he had was you never count your money in the public, out in front of everybody, like going like this. And nowadays it's a lot electronic, so there's not as much money counting. But, those are 2 really good rules to live by. He said that, it used to be a story back in Suffolk Downs where people would follow you. They'd keep an eye and not approach you while you're in the track, but then when you walk out to your car in the parking lot, they followed you all the way, and then you would take your money. So those are 2 good rules, and it was a good experience. I loved Rockingham. Rockingham my vision of Rockingham, it's now not the same, and now it runs, I think, Selkies kind of thing. But it was a beautiful track, and almost akin, in my mind anyhow, to Rockingham. The setting, the climate is kind of similar up in Salem, New Hampshire, and the temperature is kind of similar, I would say. However, for some reason or another, it didn't take, or it kind of went a different way, and there was a big fire that probably cost a drag on income stream, and which led to its ultimate demise. So anyhow, that's sort of how I got started in it.
Great. So my last thing I just wanted to touch base with you about, I know you're going to do a video on the races for today, but as we had tried to allude to earlier in our conversation, you're going to be starting a series for beginners.
Yep.
And So I know that you have been in finance for 35
Yep.
years, soon to retire. Congratulations on your soon retirement. And so in the series, are you going to talk about just kind of everything that a beginner would need to know with regard to horse racing, how to get into it, the financial piece of it, how to, if you need, you're going to tell us if you need to keep your receipts or how all that works so that you, I suppose, can deduct any losses from a potential win. And I guess you're going to tell us all about the different ways to get to know the different horses and how to read the books and know where the horse races can be located and how to watch them, how to make bets electronically. Um, so that's going to be a great series. When do you think that's going to begin?
So I don't know. I think it's you know um, the good is the enemy. I mean, the perfect's the enemy of the good. In my mind, I'm sort of going through what are these elements and how we put them together. But I think it's really good objective. I think within the next couple of weeks, we should be able to start with some sort of layout of what we want to talk about and how we go forward with it. I see a lot of synergy, with respect to my sort of investment and finance background and horse racing. Just very quickly off the top, it's I firmly believe that the board, that's the board, the odds, that's the pari-mutuel wagering that's going on. That's all. You're not competing against the track. You're competing against all the other people that are at the track, and so I really look at that board almost like the efficient market hypothesis in finance. And so, you know, another way to put it is, who wants to be a millionaire? Let's ask the audience, right? And if you get it, the largest population that you can, universe, right? You get the universe as large as you can. There, the board or the market is going to be right, all right, at the end of the day. And that's the same, with who wants to be a millionaire when they ask the audience. Like, as long as you don't tip them off to which way you're leaning, they're going to come up with, the majority will, or not the majority, but the highest number will likely come up with the best odds, or the best odds will come up with the right answer. So there's more of that. I won't get so technical, but I do want to add some fun to it. I think that there's, I just read everything regarding it, and then I never throw anything out as far as a book or anything like that. I looked up just the other day, Tomlinson figures to make sure that I had it right when I brought it onto the thing. I wouldn't say I'm a complete expert as it relates to all this. So that I'm going to be learning as I do this. I'm firmly a believer in see it, do it, teach it. And I feel like all these videos are going to help me to become a better handicapper over time. And so I look forward to really going through that and going back to square one and helping beginners take up this game. Because at the end of the day, I want to teach the younger people in this game about the passion. Because there's someone out there who doesn't realize it, but they have a passion for horses. And let's try to help the industry and the sport grow.
Awesome. All right. Well, always fun to talk to you.
All right. Fun to talk to you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.